The Magna Carta. Preamble. Edward, by the grace of God, King of England, Lord of Ireland and Duke of Aquitaine, sends greetings to all to whom the present letters come. We have inspected the great charter of the Lord Henry, late King of England, our father, concerning the liberties of England in these words. Henry, by the grace of God, King of England, Lord of Ireland, Duke of Normandy and Aquitaine, and Count of Anjou, sends greetings to his archbishops, bishops, abbots, priors, earls, barons, sheriffs, reeves, ministers, and all his bailiffs and faithful men inspecting the present charter. Know that we, at the prompting of God, and for the health of our soul and the souls of our ancestors and successors, for the glory of Holy Church, and the improvement of our realm, freely and out of our good will, have given and granted to the archbishops, bishops, abbots, priors, earls, barons, and all of our realm, these liberties written below, to hold in our realm of England in perpetuity. 1. In the first place, we grant to God and confirm by this our present charter for ourselves and our heirs in perpetuity, that the English Church is to be free and to have all its rights fully and its liberties entirely. We furthermore grant and give to all the free men of our realm for ourselves and our heirs in perpetuity the liberties written below, to have and to hold to them and their heirs from us and our heirs in perpetuity. If any of our earls or barons, or anyone else holding from us in chief by military service, should die, and should his heir be of full age and owe relief, the heir is to have his inheritance for the ancient relief, namely the heir or heirs of an earl for a whole county, 100 pounds, the heir or heirs of a baron for a whole barony, 100 marks, the heir or heirs of a knight for a whole knight's fee, 100 shillings at most, and he who owes less will give less, according to the ancient custom of knights' fees. 3. If, however, the heir of such person is under age, the lord is not to have custody of him and his land until he has taken homage from the heir. And after such an heir has been in custody, when he comes of age, namely at 21 years old, he is to have his inheritance without relief and without fine, saying that if, whilst under age, he is made a knight, his land will none the less remain in the custody of his lords until the aforesaid term. The keeper of the land of such an heir who is under age is only to take reasonable receipts from the heir's land, and reasonable customs and reasonable services, and this without destruction or waste of men or things. And if we assign custody of any such land to a sheriff, or to anyone else who should answer to us for the issues, and such a person should commit destruction or waste, we will take recompense from him, and the land will be assigned to 2 lawworthy and discreet men of that fee, who will answer to us or to the person to whom we assign such land for the land's issues. And if we give or sell to anyone custody of any such land, and that person commits destruction or waste, he is to lose custody, and the land is to be assigned to 2 lawworthy and discreet men of that fee, who similarly will answer to us as is aforesaid. 5. The keeper, for as long as he has the custody of the land of such an heir, is to maintain the houses, parks, fish ponds, mills, and other things pertaining to that land from the issues of the same land, and he will restore to the heir, when the heir comes to full age, all his land stocked with plows and all other things in at least the same condition and as when he received it. All these things are to be observed in the custodies of archbishops, archbishoprics, bishoprics, abbeys, priories, churches, and vacant offices which pertain to us, save that such custodies ought not to be sold. Heirs are to be married without disparagement. 7. A widow, after the death of her husband, is immediately and without any difficulty to have her marriage portion and her inheritance. nor is she to pay anything for her dower of her marriage portion or for her inheritance, which her husband and she held on the day of her husband's death. And she shall remain in the chief dwelling place of her husband for 40 days after her husband's death, within which time dower will be assigned her if it has not already been assigned, unless that house is a castle. And if it is a castle which she leaves, then a suitable house will immediately be provided for her, in which she may properly dwell until her dower is assigned to her in accordance with what is aforesaid. And in the meantime she is to have her reasonable necessities, estovarium, for the common property. As dower she will be assigned the third part of all the lands of her husband, which were his during his lifetime, save when she was dowered with less at the church door. No widow shall be distrained to marry for so long as she wishes to live without a husband, provided that she gives surety that she will not marry without our assent if she holds of us, or without the assent of her lord if she holds of another. Neither we nor our bailiffs will seize any land or rent for any debt, as long as the existing chattels of the debtor suffice for the payment of the debt, and as long as the debtor is ready to pay the debt. Nor will the debtor's guarantors be distrained for so long as the principal debtor is able to pay the debt. And should the principal debtor default in his payment of the debt, not having the means to repay it, or should he refuse to pay it despite being able to do so, the guarantors will answer for the debt, and if they wish, they are to have the lands and rents of the debtor until they are repaid the debt that previously they paid on behalf of the debtor, unless the principal debtor can show that he is quit in respect to these guarantors. 9. The city of London is to have all its ancient liberties and customs. Moreover, we wish and grant that all other cities and boroughs and villes and the barons of the Cinque ports and all ports are to have all their liberties and free customs. No one is to be distrained to do more service for a knight's fee or for any other free tenement than is due from it. 11. Common pleas are not to follow our court, but are to be held in a certain fixed place. Recognizances of novel Dician and of Mort d'Ancestor are not to be taken save in their particular counties, and in the following way. We, or should we be outside the realm, our chief justiciar will send our justices once a year to each country, so that together with the knights of the countries they may take the aforesaid assizes in the counties, and those assizes which cannot be completed in that visitation of the county by our aforesaid justices, assigned to take the said assizes, are to be completed elsewhere by the justices in their visitation, and those which cannot be completed by them on account of the difficulty or various articles of law are to be referred to our justices of the bench and completed there. 13. Assizes of Darien presentment are always to be taken before our justices of the bench, and are to be completed there. A free man is not to be amerced for a small offense save in accordance with the manner of the offense, and for a major offense according to its magnitude, saving his sufficiency, salvo contimento suo, and a merchant likewise, saving his merchandise, and any villain other than one of our own is to be immersed in the same way, saving his necessity, salvo vinaggio, should he fall into our mercy, and none of the aforesaid amercements is to be imposed save by the oath of honest and law-worthy men of the neighborhood. Earls and barons are not to be immersed, save by their peers, and only in accordance with the manner of their offense. 15. No town or free man is to be distrained to make bridges or bank works, save for those that ought to do so of old and by right. No bank works of any sort are to be kept up save for those that were in defense in the time of King Henry II, our grandfather, and in the same places and on the same terms as was customary in his time. 17. No sheriff, constable, coroner, or any other of our bailiffs is to hold pleas of our crown. If anyone holding a lay fee from us should die, and our sheriff or bailiff shows our letters patent containing our summons for a debt that the dead man owed us, our sheriff or bailiff is permitted to attach and enroll all the goods and chattels of the dead man found in lay fee to the value of the said debt, by view of lawworthy men, so that nothing is to be removed thence until the debt that remains is paid to us, and the remainder is to be released to the executors to discharge the will of the dead man. And if nothing is owed to us from such a person, all the chattels are to pass to the use of the dead man, saving to the dead man's wife and children in their reasonable portion. 19. No constable or his bailiff is to take corn or other chattels from anyone who not themselves of a ville where a castle is built, unless the constable or his bailiff immediately offers money in payment of obtains a respite by the wish of the seller. If the person whose corn or chattels are taken is of such a ville, then the constable or his bailiff is to pay the purchase price within 40 days. No constable is to distrain any knight to give money for castle guard, if the knight is willing to do such guard in person, or by proxy of any other honest man, should the knight be prevented from doing so by just cause. And if we take or send such a knight into the army, he is to be quit of castle guard in accordance with the length of time that we have him in the army for the fee for which he has done service in the army. 21. No sheriff or bailiff of ours or of anyone else is to take anyone's horses or carts to make carriage, unless he renders the payment customarily due, namely for a 2-horse cart 10 pence per day, and for a 3-horse cart 14 pence per day. No demesne cart belonging to any churchman or knight or other lady, or any other lady, is to be taken by our bailiffs, nor will we or our bailiffs or anyone else take someone else's timber for a castle, or any other of our businesses, save by the will of he whom the timber belongs. We shall not hold the lands of those convicted of felony save for a year and a day, whereafter such land is to be restored to the lords of the fees. 23. All fish weirs, cadeli, on the Thames and the Medway and throughout England are to be entirely dismantled, save on the sea-coast. The writ called praecipice is not to be issued to anyone in respect to any free tenement in such a way that a free man might lose his court. 25. There is to be a single measure for wine throughout our realm, and a single measure for ale, and a single measure for corn, that is to say, the London quarter, and a single breadth for dyed cloth, russets, and haberjecks, that is to say, 2 yards within the lists, and it shall be the same for weights as for measures. Henceforth there is to be nothing given for a writ of inquest from the person seeking an inquest of life or member, but such a writ is to be given freely, and is not to be denied. 27. If any persons hold from us at fee farm, or in socage or bourgage, and hold land from another night by night service, we are not, by virtue of such a fee farm, or socage or bourgage, to have custody of the heir or their land which pertains to another's fee, nor are we to have custody of such a fee farm, or socage or bourgage, unless this fee farm owes night service. We are not to have the custody of an heir of any land which is held from another by night service, on the pretext of some small sergenty held from us by service, of rendering us knives or arrows or such like things. No bailiff is henceforth to put any man on his open law or on oath simply by virtue of his spoken word, without reliable witnesses being produced for the same. 29. No free man is to be taken or imprisoned, or deceased of his free tenement or of his liberties or free customs, or outlawed or exiled, or in any way ruined, nor will we go against such a man or send against him save by lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land. To no one will we sell or deny of delay, right, or justice. All merchants, unless they have been previously and publicly forbidden, are to have safe and secure conduct in leaving and coming to England, and in staying and going through England, both by land and by water, to buy and to sell, without any evil exactions, according to the ancient and right customs, save in time of war. And if they should be from a land at war against us, and be found in our land at the beginning of the war, they are to be attached without damage to their bodies or goods until it is established by us by our chief justiciar, in what way the merchants of our land are treated, who at such a time are found in the land that is at war with us. And if our merchants are safe there, the other merchants are to be safe in our land. 31. If anyone dies holding of any escheat, such as the honour of Wallingford, Boulogne, Nottingham, Lancaster, or of other escheats which are in our hands and which are baronies, his heir is not to give any other relief or render any other service to us that would not have been rendered to the baron, if the barony were still held by a baron. And we shall hold such things in the same way as the baron held them, nor on account of such a barony or escheat, as are we to have the escheat or custody of any of our men, unless the man who held the barony or the escheat held elsewhere from us in chief. No free man is henceforth to give or sell any more of his land to anyone, unless the residue of his land is sufficient to render due services to the lord of the fee as pertains to that fee. 33. All patrons of abbeys which have charters of the kings of England over advowson or ancient tenure or possession are to have the custody of such abbeys when they fall vacant, just as they ought to have and is declared above. No one is to be taken or imprisoned on the appeal of woman for the death of anyone save for the death of that woman's husband. 35. No county court is to be held save from month to month, and where the greater term used to be held, so will it be in future, nor will any sheriff or his bailiff make his turn through the 100 save for twice a year, and only in the place that is due and customary, namely once after Easter, and again after Michaelmas. And the view of frank pledge is to be taken at the Michaelmas term without exception, in such a way that every man is to have his liberties which he had used or used to have in the time of King Henry II, my grandfather, or which he has acquired since. The view of frank pledge is to be taken so that our peace be held, and so that the tithing is to be held entire, as it used to be, so that the sheriff does not seek exceptions, but remains content with that which the sheriff used to have in taking the view in the time of King Henry, our grandfather. It says King H. But nor is it permitted to anyone to give his land to a religious house in such a way that he receives it back from such a house to hold. Nor is it permitted to any religious house to accept the land of anyone in such a way that the land is restored to the person from whom it was received to hold. If anyone henceforth gives his land in such a way to any religious house and is convicted of the same, the gift is to be entirely quashed, and such land is to revert to the lord of that fee. 37. Scutage, furthermore, is to be taken as it used to be in the time of King Henry, our grandfather, and all liberties and free customs shall be preserved to archbishops, bishops, abbots, priors, templars, hospitallers, earls, barons, and all others, both ecclesiastical and secular positions, just as they formerly had. All those aforesaid customs and liberties which we have granted to be held in our realm, in so far as pertains to us, are to be observed by all of our realm, both clergy and laity, in so far as pertains to them in respect to their own men. For this gift and grant of these liberties, and of others contained in our charter over the liberties of the forest, the archbishops, bishops, abbots, priors, earls, barons, knights, fee-holders, and all of our realm, have given us a 15th part of all their movable goods. Moreover, we grant to them for us and our heirs, that neither we nor our heirs will seek anything by which the liberties contained in this charter might be infringed or damaged, and should anything be obtained from anyone against this, it is to count for nothing and to be held as nothing. With these witnesses, the Lord S. Stephen, Archbishop of Canterbury, E. Eustace, Bishop of London. J. Jocelyn, Bishop of Bath. P. Peter, Bishop of Winchester. H. Hugh, Bishop of Lincoln. R. Richard, Bishop of Salisbury. W. Bishop of Rochester. W. William, Bishop of Worcester. J. John, Bishop of Ely. H. Hugh, Bishop of Hereford. R. Ranulph, Bishop of Chichester. W. William, Bishop of Exeter. The Abbot of Bury St. Edmunds. The Abbot St. Albans. The Abbot of Battle. The Abbot of St. Augustine's, Canterbury. The Abbot of Evesham. The Abbot of Westminster. The Abbot of Peterborough. The Abbot of Reading. The Abbot of Abingdon. The Abbot of Malmesbury. The Abbot of Winchcombe. The Abbot of Hyde, Winchester. The Abbot of Chertsey. The Abbot of Sherborne. The Abbot of Cerne. The Abbot of Abbotsbury. The Abbot of Milton, Abbas. The Abbot of Selby. The Abbot of Cirencester. H. Hubert de Burgh, the Justiciar. H. Earl of Chester and Lincoln. William, Earl of Salisbury. William, Earl Warren. G. de Clare, Earl of Gloucester and Hertford. William de Ferrers, Earl of Derby. William de Mandeville, Earl of Essex. Hugh Bigod, Earl of Norfolk. William, Earl Aumale. Humphrey, Earl of Hereford. John Constable of Chester. Robert de Ross. Robert Fitzwalker. Robert de Viewpoint. William Brewer. Richard de Montefiore. Peter Fitzherbert. William de Aubigny. G. Gresley. F. de Braose. John of Monmouth. John Fitz-Allen. Hugh de Mortimer. William de Beauchamp. William de St. John. Peter de Maulay. Brian de Lille. Thomas of Moulton. Richard de Argentan. Geoffrey de Neville. William Mauduit. John de Ballon, and others, given at Westminster on the 11th day of February in the 9th year of our reign. We, holding these aforesaid gifts and grants to be right and welcome, concede and confirm them for ourselves and our heirs, and by the terms of the present letters renew them, wishing and granting for ourselves and our heirs that the aforesaid charter is to be firmly and inviolably observed in all and each of its articles in perpetuity, including any articles contained in the same charter by which chance have not to date been observed, in testimony of which we have made these our letters patent, witnessed by Edward our son, at Westminster on the 12th day of October, in the 25th year of our reign. Chancery Warranty by John of Stowe. Translation by Professor Nicholas Vincent. Copyright Sotheby's, 2007. From www.archives.gov/exhibits/featured-documents/magna/carta/translation.html. This is Stanford Dale Woodson, and that was my reading of the Magna Carta.